Good morning. It is September the 7th, 2025. It is football season, and it is the starting of the Thursday was the starting of the NFL, continued by Friday. But then Sunday, is the main meat of the product. Welcome to the really big football show. I'm your host, BA. I have with me Keith and Jack. What's going on, Keith?
Good morning, guys. How are you? This is the official opening day for me because it's when we got the full slate of games. Those games were great the other days, but this is opening day.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm ready. Not optimistic.
Look at that.
We're ready.
Yeah, it's Pee-wee ball, Pee-wee football.
Yeah, the Pee-wee ball. That's about the type of season the Jets are going to have. So I got to hold this against my chin. When I moved from a couple of years ago, Mac used to tease me. I had my Jet teddy bear. I'm not sure what happened to it moving. I mean, maybe the truck drivers, one of them stole it for all I know. I'm only joking, but why would they want it the way the Jets, play?
They've been looking for you to pay for it to get it, to pay you to take it back. To pay you to take it back.
Jets teddy bear. Okay. I guess we all had one of those at one time. We're going to start off with college, though, because it was a quiet day in college, a lot of blowouts, from the top 25 teams. But I want to start with the ranked teams that played each other, and was only one group, and that was the number 18 Oklahoma Sooners, 24, and number 15 Michigan, 13. Quarterback John McTeer, he had a heck of a game. His stat line wasn't the greatest, but the dude ran for 2 touchdowns and threw for another. Had a bad interception in one of the plays, but he did a really good job against Michigan's defense. And Michigan defense, they didn't always throw everything at him like they should have. Michigan overall just played that. I don't know what was going on with the offense. The offense was like kind of reminded me of the Texas game with Ohio State. It's like they held the offense back. Let the guy go. He's 18. Let him throw the ball. Jesus.
Yeah, it's a good indication. You talked about overreactions, right? We talked about Bryce Underwood's great game against New Mexico last week. Well, let's wait till he plays a real program, and he did not have a good day yesterday. I don't think he threw for 150 yards all day. Oklahoma, this is a big win for Venable and his program because they've been disappointing. He's on a hot seat out there. This isn't the biggest game they'll play all year with their SEC schedule, but this was a big way to get the season off to the right start. And a big game for McTeer as well, who's been in the headlines for the wrong reasons this fall. And this helps move that aside and get focused back on the football field.
What you got on this, Jack? Nothing?
Well, just like you, I figure Michigan guy starts off with the Michigan game.
They're 2 ranked teams.
Yeah, 2 ranked teams over there, but I don't know what's expected of Michigan this year. I mean, they're not really playoff bound on any circumstance. So I don't know what the fan base over there. It's with these sanctions on them from, Harbaugh, you get the feeling the energy level is down, at Michigan.
There's really no sanctions there. They have to pay money, and the coach is going to miss a couple of games. That's it. That's all the sanctions they got them. They got to put a slap on the wrist for doing nothing out of the. By the way, nothing nobody else does.
But it did hurt their recruiting because they were, for a while, there was a question mark of what was going to happen with the university.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, Richard and David, by the way. I'm with Keith when he did his early season predictions, and he's, so far I'm listening to that guy.
2 weeks in, I'm great. All right.
Oklahoma was going to beat Michigan.
Wait, after week 1, wasn't Keith singing the virtues of the Florida Gators?
No, I was not.
No, you were? No, it was someone else.
I have not been high on Florida. I think this is a big loss for them. Now that we've segued there, Billy Napier got himself off the hot seat with a strong finish last year, and this just really kind of kills all that momentum. they may be the worst team in Florida right now as far as major conference, or I'm sorry, major NCAA football schools. South 17 and a half. That line was way off yesterday because South Florida is better than that. That should have been like a touchdown. Spread.
And I kind
South
of
Florida upsets number 13 Florida 18-16.
Yeah,
it's a good game.
And bad luck for Florida again. We had another spitting incident which really impacted that game because at that last drive, South Florida was backed up and they get a 15-yard penalty because a kid spits on a kid. How stupid do you have to be? I don't get it. I just don't get it. And it's so frustrating to watch this stuff more often. And that gave South Florida life, and good for them. They went down there. They almost took the lead the drive before. The kid just missed a 50. I think it was 58. I'm not sure.
Gramatica.
Is that Martin Grammatica's son or something?
Yes, it is. Nico Gramatica. Yeah, he is the famed family member of the Kicking Gramaticas.
The Grammatikas.
Yeah, he missed one. I was like, really? He missed it?
Yarder. No, he missed a 58-yarder earlier. I don't want to hear someone is 2 for 3, and the one kick they missed was a 58-yarder.
Yeah.
And you look at the percentage. Like Bill Parcells always used to say, well, kickers have to make 75% of their kicks. It's the circumstance. I mean, you take a 58-yard, it's a bit of a crapshoot.
And he missed it by about a foot. I mean, you know. And his coach was, I don't know if you noticed or were watching the game, but his coach was frantically trying to call timeout before he kicked it as well. Well before he kicked it. He was very hot after that miss. But it worked out for South Florida. They now have 2 wins over ranked opponents. But Boise's not ranked anymore, but they were when they beat him. And that's a great start for a team looking for that Group of 5 playoff bid. So good start for South Florida.
They're knocking down posts because the first was the first time they knocked off a unranked opponent in so many years, and then the second time is so many years they knocked off one on a road.
Great young coach. Golish is a really good coach too. They played well last year. There was like 7-6, which doesn't light you on fire. But South Florida is not a hotbed of football success. So he's one of the up and coming guys to watch out when bigger jobs open up this coming cycle.
Don't they play Miami next? South Florida.
Yeah, they play Miami, who won yesterday, and was for fun. They could have scored about 100 yesterday, I think, if they wanted to. They've got South Florida. They've got Florida and Florida State back to back to back. So they got a big run coming in front of them here.
All the Florida teams are just playing their gauntlet of Florida, huh?
Yeah.
You get this question right here from Chris. Any prospect analysis on Gunnar Rivers?
I have not spent a lot of time. I love his name, by the way. Anybody ever named Gunnar, I love their name. I don't know why. But I haven't spent a lot of time breaking him down. So we'll get more into that as the season goes on for sure, Chris. Chris always throws me a curveball. I've always challenged him to throw me curveballs, and he always finds a way to do it. Good job.
We have Baylor upset number 17 SMU 48-45 and 2 OTs. SMU is like, I mean, I don't know if you were to call it. Baylor's always plays well. I don't understand why you call that an upset because it's a
mild upset at most.
SMU's at home. They're ranked. They had a really good year last year. They got a lot of guys back. Their defense is just atrocious. Both those teams' defense is atrocious. But Baylor's played a little bit better. That fourth quarter, SMU had a 14-point lead with, I don't know, 7 minutes left. And Baylor stopped them a couple of times. That's all that mattered. SMU didn't. Once they went to overtime, I was shocked for SMU kicking a field goal or trying to kick a field goal. They missed it in overtime, their second overtime, because field goals weren't going to win that game. I don't know. It did only because SMU didn't try to score. I would have gone for it on fourth down there. But
yeah, that was the thing that was bothering me about the Michigan game a couple of times because should have went for it. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, So also Mississippi State upsets number 12 Arizona State. Man, Arizona State's air coverage is incredibly bad.
Yeah.
I mean, they Mississippi State hit them for 2 long bombs in this game, and just
This
I was
was
like, dude, where is everybody?
Yeah, again, Arizona ranked. I don't know where they were ranked. Maybe they were ranked 12th, I think.
Yeah, they're 12th.
Yeah, so traveling to Mississippi State, that program's starting to get on the rise a little bit. I mean, they're probably not going to have a great year in the SEC, but they're dangerous for these non-conference games at home. And they played well yesterday. Arizona State, again, as you said, not playing well on in the secondary, and Mississippi State took advantage of it.
Good morning, James.
Good morning. Sorry,
It doesn't really affect
sorry I'm late.
State a lot. Good morning, James. This loss won't hurt them that much. They still got to win Big 12 to get in at the playoff anyway.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
College. Yesterday's game, some of the games. Number 16, Iowa State escapes Iowa 16-13. That was a good game too. I caught like maybe a quarter of it. They were
Typical Iowa State game. They always play. It's always like 10-9 or 13-10, and whatever, 16-13, like we saw yesterday. I keep hearing about Kirk Ferentz's new offense, or at least Iowa's new offense, because Kirk Ferentz and offense really don't go together, those two things. I haven't seen a lot of it so far, and it looks like same old at Iowa, where Kirk Ferentz, by the way, is now the all-time leading coach for wins in the Big Ten. Shockingly, that's how he's been there like 23 years or something. So, but there've been some great coaches come through the Big Ten, and he's the all-time win leader there.
And finally, number 8, Clemson. I don't know what's going on with them yesterday. They had some trouble against Troy. I'm like, dude, what's going on with you guys? You're slow. This is not the one I saw against LSU. What's going on here? You having a letdown? Maybe that's what it was.
Well, they were disappointing against LSU. I wouldn't brag about their performance in that game, that they lost. They finally got some separation in the second half against Troy, but they were really struggling for a while, and you kind of wondered what was going on. Because Dabo Sweeney, he's been more correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, but hasn't he been more optimistic, it seems, this year than he's been the last few years?
Yeah.
Like Clemson is like back to what?
He's got a very veteran team there, and which he brought back, I think, more playing time, if you will, veteran playing time than like any of the top tier teams. But are those guys any good? Klubnik is a real deal, but you got to have some players around you, and it could be a letdown. But you see, you go two ways here, right? I liked all the teams that got beat last week to blow teams out. Alabama, Texas, they all rebounded very well after very tough losses, and Clemson had a tough loss of their own and did not rebound well. By the way, I got to give kudos to your coach, James, with one of the best lines of the week about Dabo. If you saw did you see the press conference? He's talking about Dabo
Regarding the grades? Yes.
Grades. He goes, I don't know about Dabo's scoring. He says maybe he's scoring him or grading his own team too high or ours too low, or maybe he just didn't see the second half, which is entirely possible. That was a great line by Brian Kelly.
All right, but let's give Bill Belichick a hand because he won his first game against Italy. Great job for the school.
Perennial powerhouse Charlotte, yeah.
I gotta say, Bill Belichick, more than the game, it was his quote after the game. If he made it right before the game about banning the New England Patriots scouts from his facility. He said that he's banned from New England's facility. Is he banned from the Patriots facility? I don't know of him being banned from that. Why would they put a ban on him? Why would he even want to go to the Patriot facility? It makes no sense. You imagine Belichick showing up at the New England Patriot facility? Well, I mean, it's not logical.
It's just more of him trying to bait, the organization, the responding, and Mike Vrabel wouldn't respond. But he's got no reason to go to the facility. The Patriots will have a reason to go to North Carolina at some point to scout. Well, actually, will they? There's nobody there to scout. I mean, who's going to get drafted off this team? So, It's
Brett said his favorite game was Army beating Kansas State. Well, you know
That's-
what my favorite game was? Navy beating UAB 38-24.
good job by the. I always root for the military academies, and I'm shocked. K-State now. I said don't worry about K-State. They'll get it right. Oh, they're not getting it right because Army's. I love Army. They're not as good as they were last year by even close, and now they go out to Kansas State and beat them. Not good.
Yeah. Say happy birthday to Super Bowl champion James Butler. The Giants
We have
upset
to
the
talk about
Patriots.
Patriots and. I need more coffee for this, Chris. Jeez.
All right. Was there any other college football games besides Jack up there trying to have his horror show with the?
Did you guys talk about the Baylor SMU game?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Just
yeah.
before you came on, actually.
Yeah, let's run it all back for James, all the games.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's run it all back. We'll replay the segment. I could get a cup of coffee these few minutes.
You're so delightful, Jack. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
one blowout.
Flowers and rainbows lately.
Yeah. One thing, I'll add a couple of quick notes. Mike Gundy gets beat, his worst thumping ever. I think the Mike Gundy era in Oklahoma, and I like Mike Gundy a lot. I think the Oklahoma State Cowboys and Mike Gundy will probably be parting ways after this year. They got thumped by Oregon yesterday. And the money disparity, which he was talking about a lot this year, it's just a real reality in college football today, and that's the way it is. Their benefactor died. They don't have as much money. Oregon's got a bunch. So, and although it wasn't against great competition, I said, let's talk in a few weeks about Arch Manning. They let Arch Manning be Arch Manning yesterday against inferior competition. I'll give you that, St. Jose State. But he was Arch Manning. If you watch any of the game, they let him run around. He was Arch Manning yesterday, throwing on the runs, running the football. He runs for a touchdown. I'm not overreacting. I'm just saying we overreacted last week. Let's watch him play some football before we overreact.
Yeah, well, I watched a lot of that game, and I think the quarterback position, it's about making plays. And he made plays yesterday. Yeah. At times he didn't make plays. I give him a good grade. If I had to grade him, I would give him maybe a B+. But it's not that hard if you're in the pocket and you have blocking and the receivers open. That's not making plays. He made one great, run, a 20-yard run or so where he avoided the tackles. He showed his mobility.
He also moved in and out of the pocket. He didn't sit in the pocket all day and throw the football yesterday.
I will give him credit that the last touchdown he threw was tight rope line down the window to his tight end, and the guy was covered and everything, and he threw it on the money. So yeah, he's got some poise. I would say there were a lot of plays that I was looking, because I trust me, I don't like the hype for anybody, and I really try to allow these people to play, and I wanted to see him play. I want to see him succeed, and so I think he's got potential to get back up there. I don't know if it'll match the hype, but I think he's good. I think he's a very good player.
He'd have been better off with this game in game one and then playing Ohio State, right? I mean, that's just a tough spot. And Florida State has a big game. Jack texted me yesterday, wonder if they would score 100 at one point, but I thought they'd call off the Dogs a little bit. That's a nice win, again, against inferior opponents, but they come off that big upset. That's a good place to let down. Struggled, like Clemson struggled a little bit yesterday against Troy. I mean, they win by, what was the final, 77-3 or something?
77-3, exactly.
That's a great debate question, James. Will a college team score 100 points in a game in the next 10 years or so? Will they break the 100-point barrier? Chiefs fans are texting me back. They'll call the dogs off. But I think for teams to score 100 points, one coach will have to dislike the other coach, because then he'll pour it on.
There could be, there are those circumstances where great rivalries, teams will do it.
Well, has anyone scored 90? I don't recall anyone 90 points. Has anyone scored like in the low 80s? I can't recall that.
Houston back in the run and shoot days, if you remember, when Andre Ware was there and David Klingler, they were scoring like 77, 80 points like regularly.
So what's more likely to happen? Will Chamberlain, someone getting 100 points in a game like Will Chamberlain, a college team getting 100 points in a game? That's thought-provoking. What's more likely to happen first?
I want to get paid for helping you come up with these ideas.
Just
to entertain him, I'm going to say basketball. Yeah, I would say a basketball player would do.
I would say basketball as well. By the way,
Yeah, basketball is a little bit. I wouldn't say easier, but
I'm starting to sound like Jack here, going back in time. But I got a great my favorite running up the score story, because I don't care about running up the score. But back in the great Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler days, Michigan against Ohio State. Ohio State was beating Michigan like 50-0. They scored a touchdown late in the game, and he went for 2 instead of just kicking the extra point. And they asked him after the game, "Why would you go for 2 there? Just kick the field goal." He goes, "Because the rules say I can't go for 3." And I think that's to your, hated rivalry. Somebody possibly getting there. You need that situation.
Yeah, definitely. I'd go for 3 or 4 if they gave them to me, right? That's pretty
Sorry
funny.
to bring that up, Brian, but
no. That's good. That was the good old days when rivalries. I mean, they really hated each other. I mean,
Some of my
they hate
favorite
each other
stories.
now, but they really hated each other then. It was to the point of calling the police type of hate each other. So college, we're going to wrap that up there. Again, the top 25 pretty much was unscathed except the Oklahoma-Michigan game, SMU getting upset, and South Florida got upset, or upset number 13 Florida. And, of course, Mississippi State upsets Arizona State too. So got a couple upsets there. That's great. Maybe next week we'll have some more upsets to talk about. It's not going to be a very good college football Saturday for week 3 either, but it'll be a little bit, I think we have a ranked. I'm not sure if we have ranked opponents playing each other this time. This
LSU and Florida definitely play each other early. This is the earliest I've seen them play.
Well, who knows if
Florida,
huge
game for Billy Napier next week.
Yeah, I don't see Florida win that one, so I don't see them winning that one. Georgia's playing number 22 Tennessee. Nobody's talking about Tennessee.
They're not going to be 22 anymore. Tennessee is knocking the ball out of the park, and I like a potential upset here.
At home, right? They have Georgia at home, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And Georgia had a little problem with Austin Peay too. That was another game. I was kind of looking at like, what?
Everybody, I think coming out of the gate, LSU and Clemson, LSU defense stayed on point, but their offense sputtered a little bit against Louisiana Tech. So that alarmed me. We paid them $1.5 million to come there and lose 3 players in the game.
There you go, more money.
And Chris is telling us in 2028 flag football will make its Olympic debut. All right.
Please don't send any pictures.
Is it flag football already? No, I'm just kidding. Speaking of flag football, we're going to get ready to talk about the NFL. And we're going to do some conversations along with our picks, because I'm trying to get Keith in here before he has to go off air. It's been the first games of this week, besides maybe 2 of them, the great matchups. The first one that we're going to be talking about is Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Tampa Bay is a 1.5 favorite over the Falcons. What do you guys got on this one?
Just on your overall comment about the matchups, it's a great week unless you're in a survivor pool, because this is the hardest week 1 I've ever had trying to find a game that's like a gimme. This was one of my thoughts, but too close to call. I like Tampa Bay here. I think Tampa Bay is the best team in this division. Sorry, James, but I don't think. Again, I don't know this for a fact. I don't think things are all that cheery in Atlanta with Michael Penix and the rest of this coaching staff. I don't think it's going to go as well as Atlanta fans think it will. I think they've got some good pieces there. I think their defense is going to be better this year than it was last year. In this particular game, I like the Bucks because I think the Bucks are going to surprise people. I know Jack does a little bit. I won't steal his thunder. I'll let him speak for himself. But I do think they'll surprise, not quite as much as he does, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this on the past show, and I mentioned it with Keith on our show last Friday. I think the Bucks are going to shock people. I'm predicting they go to the Super Bowl. They come out of the NFC this year, and it's not like the Bucks should be considered like this wild dog horse. They've been in the playoffs the last few years. They're perennial playoff team with a weak record in a very weak division. But has that division gotten any better? I mean, you have the Falcons. Is any evidence they've gotten any better? Last year was their year that they were supposed to take a leap forward, and they didn't do it. And they're probably going to be back to their like about 7-10 again this year. The way I look at it, I know Keith is low on Michael Penix. I'm not as low on him as Keith is. I think he's a decent quarterback, but I question Raheem Morris's leadership, whether he could take the team to the next level. I know he's loved within the Falcon organization because he was there years ago and they brought him back. But he was a head coach at Tampa Bay before, too. And I just like the Bucks. I mean, they just seem, I don't want to say loaded, but a really good all around team, elite receivers, good running game, Todd Bowles, a great defensive mind, all those years. And I mean, I like the Bucks to win this game, basically going away. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a 27-0 type of game. And I know I'm being this is a bit of a contradiction because I'm not low on Michael Penix, but I just don't like this Falcon team.
Well, typically I disagree with Keith in regards to his take on Michael Penix, but in this situation they lost their right tackle, which happens to be Michael Penix's blind side for the season. So that would be a red flag for me because you don't just pick up stellar right tackles or left tackles for that matter, or just off the street. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for them in that regard because again, that is his blind side, being left-handed. And so I think while they're talented with first round draft picks on the offense with their running back, their wide receiver, their tight end, I just think that they're going to have some struggles there with protection. And so that may give them a little bit of chance. They have some chances to beat decent teams, but I agree with Jack about 7-10 season potentially with them because of the line struggles. But I definitely I'm going to pick Tampa Bay. I'm going to pick Tampa Bay in this regard. This is one thing I do disagree with you, Jack, is that while they're good and while they've been winning the division the past couple of years, I think their ceiling is low. I don't think they're just the best of the worst. To me, they're the best of the worst, and this division is definitely probably the worst in football. But although I think all four teams have improved some, minus the injuries, they just Tampa Bay. I don't see them getting by the Eagles. I don't see them getting by. I wouldn't say the 49ers, but because the 49ers I don't want to get to the 49ers yet, but I just don't see Tampa Bay making it past the divisional round.
Well, they did beat the Eagles a year ago in the playoffs. I know, between Super Bowls for the Eagles, but
a lot of people beat the Eagles when they weren't doing well that year.
The Bucks, despite their regular season record the last few years, those playoff losses, they were very competitive in those games. They gave the opponents good games, beat the Lions, the Rams, games that they lost.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, a W versus L matters.
You want to give, but you want to give the quarterbacks James a pass if they've lost the key offensive lineman. So that means, am I going to give Justin Fields a pass if he doesn't have a good year because Vera Tucker is out for the year, his best offensive, lineman?
It's a little different because you have more. I would say you have more footage and evidence of Justin Fields and what he's done. But at the same time, no, and I'm not really giving Michael Penix a pass. I'm just saying that I just think that he's got some stripes on the wall from college and played only a few games, and they were starting to pour it on at the end when towards his last game or so. But I just think by the time he took the reins of the football team, it was just too late. It was, I mean, you had a quarterback that was hiding his, didn't disclose his injury, and Michael Penix probably could have been in the game a lot sooner to see what he has. And I think that just off of his reps that he's played, I could say that he would be a better quarterback. I mean, obviously he was picked 8 overall or so. There's somebody saw something in him. I just think that he'll probably be a lot better than what's being said.
Who played better last year when Cousins was healthy, by the way? Who played better, the healthy Cousins or the healthy Penix?
I would say the healthy Cousins, but I mean,
this is Cousins was awful. You forgot he was awful.
No, he meant no. This is the guy who threw for 500 yards against Tampa Bay when he was on point. So and won the game.
And they were winning. And they were winning.
Yeah. But with that said, I mean,
Cousins, they had to. He was so terrible. They had Cousins,
but he was hurt. He was hurt.
He got hurt.
When you have to play
but
2 years.
What I will say is, Keith, he was hurt, but he didn't want to lose his job. So that tells me.
I understand.
He didn't want to lose his job. So that means there's somebody that he knows was on his tail. If it was a scrub back there, he wouldn't even care. He'd probably go sit down and know he's going to get his job back.
You don't think Russell Wilson knows the Giants are going to pull him for Jackson Dart at some point unless he plays great? They all know it. When you draft the quarterback high, the starter's always on the clock, always.
He played almost as well as anybody in the NFC up to that point. I'm not saying Darnold. Darnold was hot, and so was Goff. But other than a couple of guys, he was in the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFC before he got hurt.
Who? You talking about Cousins?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yes.
Yeah,
no,
he was.
No. Look it up, guys. No, he wasn't.
I don't need to look it up. I know it. I watched it.
He got benched.
He got benched because he broke his shoulder, for crying out loud. Tried to play with it for 3 games. Not pulling Russell? Yeah, I don't know, Anthony.
By the way, Fern is a Giants fan, just to let you know.
We'll get to that, Fern.
He should be rooting for him to pull him then.
I am also going with the Buccaneers in this game against the Falcons. Makes a clean sweep with all of us here. The next game on the docket is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Jack's Jets. Who you got, Keith?
I got the Jets. I like Justin Fields. I don't know. I won't say a lot, but I've always liked what he can bring. If he can be even semi-accurate throwing the football, and the Jets have some weapons for him to throw the football to, in Hall and Wilson. I think if the Jets can run the football a bit, I just think things are going to be a nightmare in Pittsburgh this year. I really do. It's like kindling, waiting for a match over there in Pittsburgh, in my mind. I like the Jets today to get it done.
What you got, Jack?
We're just picking winners, right? We're not picking spreads. We said, right, Brian?
No spreads, no.
Winners. Right.
I mean, I have enthusiasm for the start of the NFL season, which just started. The first 2 games were great. I don't have a lot of enthusiasm for this Jets season. I hate to say it. I mean, maybe because my expectations were much higher the last couple of years where the Jets seem to be loaded in the various positions. I mean, you even look at wide receiver. They don't have anything close to resembling a number 2. What's their closest number 2 receiver? Alan Lazard, who I'm shocked is even on the team, one Aaron Rodgers guys. The running game, Breece Hall seemed to regress last year in the second year. So I'm pretty concerned. I don't know what he has moving forward. And as Brandon Allen is your featured back, I'm kind of skeptical. And Aaron Glenn putting all his faith into Justin Fields. Maybe Justin Fields will turn out to be okay, but he's a big question mark how good he's going to be. I mean, this is Justin Fields' third stop. The only thing I will say, if
Elite
the Bears were not picking number one overall in the draft, chances are they would have stuck with Justin Fields an extra year. So after 3 years in the league, Justin Fields would have gotten a fourth year, meaning he didn't eliminate himself from the discussion of being a franchise quarterback. But, he had his opportunity at Pittsburgh, and, they sat him down. They didn't quite like his upside. And I just don't know. We mentioned the injury a moment ago to Vera Tucker. That hurts too. Aaron Glenn is a defensive coach, so the defense, should be okay. Sauce Gardner, he kind of regressed last year. No one brings it up, but he still got the big contract. Sauce Gardner might not be more than a good cornerback at this point. People don't realize that. They think he's elite. He might not be elite. And he's undersized, Sauce Gardner, when you look at it, as far as tackles in the open field. I mean, I look for like a 7-10 record this year. Did they beat the Steelers? I think the Steelers are going to be a mess this year. I think Mike Tomlin's first losing record in a while. Aaron Rodgers, I think this is going to be a one and done year. Jets at home. I'll go with the Jets to eke out a win like 17-16. Steelers signed Cam Hayward. He might be a happy guy because some, big plays on defense. When you sign a new deal right before a game, you're all giddy.
And that's the way the Jets need to win games, because they don't need to score 30 points a game to win. Their defense is elite.
Mm-hmm.
It is elite. And
defense is good. It's good. It's good. I don't know about elite.
It's playoff ready, I'll tell you that.
Hurry. The circus has left New York and come to Pittsburgh. I would say that the show is about to begin. The NFL season. We got another circus coming, and it left, like I said, it left New York and it's coming to Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers. I don't see this going well in Pittsburgh. I got the Jets winning. I'm not going to be long here. I just think that I think the Jets are going to rebound, regardless of that might be a bit of a problem, Jack, losing your best offensive lineman. But I think you drafted well enough to where you have other good pieces, like on the bookends. So you have really good pieces there. And so the run game, hopefully you're great. I think Breece Hall, along with Braylon Allen, I think they bounce back. I think they're going to do well. They're going to lean on the run game. They're not going to depend on Justin Field to throw down the field until he needs to. And I think RPO is probably what's their best option with him. You just use his strengths. He can run the ball well. You got to use his strengths, and he has running back, so he's going to have decoys. So I think that Garrett Wilson, he may have a big year. He might have a 1,000-yard year. We'll see. It depends on how much the ball gets to him. But your defense is incredible. I think you just go old school here. You have a good defense, have a good run game, and take care of the ball. And I think you'll win close to 10 games, 10 or maybe 11 games. But I got the Jets winning this game.
I'll take 9-8 not to make the playoffs. If we go 9-8, that's a successful year.
Everybody hates AR, don't they?
That's Detroit stuff right there. Brent's a Lions fan, so there's a reason why we hate them. I'm going to lone wolf it here because looking at the defenses, both defenses are pretty good. Cam Haywood actually disagreed to a revised contract of adding $3 million in playoff incentives, allowing a veteran up to $18 million. And he's 36 years old. So I think that was a good revision for his contract. He'll be playing this Sunday because there was a big, today, because there was a big thing that he wouldn't play today until he got his extension or whatever. So he's playing today. I like the Pittsburgh. I just think the Pittsburgh offense is just a tad bit better than the Jets offense right now. So I'm going to lone wolf it and go with the Steelers. All right. We have the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. Dolphins are at the Colts. Who do you got, Keith?
The Colts might be better than we think they're going to be. I mean, I don't think they're going to win that division, but I think they'll be better than we think. I think they're definitely better than the Dolphins at this point. The Dolphins look like a train wreck, and McDaniels has gone from the lovable nutty professor to a guy who looks like he's in way over his head. And Tua's a sack away from retirement talk every time he plays. And this Colt team, I think they'll devise a game plan so that Daniel Jones doesn't beat them. He manages the game. They still got a pretty good running game with Jonathan Taylor. And I don't like anything about this Dolphin team. I like the Colts today, especially at home.
Jack,
and I think Daniel Jones will be better than you think this year.
I just got to make a comment about Anthony Richardson's agent. They're seeking a trade. He's been speaking to the Colts front office to move Anthony Richardson to another team. Now, Anthony Richardson is the primary backup for the Colts, meaning if Daniel Jones is injured or falters a bit, okay, then Anthony Richardson is going to be back as the starter. He goes elsewhere. Where do they think Anthony Richardson is going to start? I haven't read that. Leave that up there. While I'm talking, I can't really read. I'll lose my thought. But I think Mike McDaniel, he's got talent on that team. I think the Dolphins are going to have a poor year. But I think they're wacky enough where they could win this opener, actually. Open things up a bit with Tua. And we keep hearing, well, they're one injury away. That's why they might not have a good year. But if Tua stays healthy, there's a good chance. I mean, he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. If he's completely healthy, if Tua's on top of his game, he's an elite quarterback. If he's healthy on top of his game, and he does still have the receivers there. He still has the weapons. And the Dolphin defense it's a bit spotty, but, I know the Colts, if they can't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor, they could have a problem. I think the Dolphins, something tells me they're going to upset the Colts today. Not a good year for the Dolphins, but they upset the Colts. Because things are out. I learned from Keith this. Things are totally out of whack opening day. You're going to get some weird scores, some shocking upsets. Some games are going to go completely opposite to what we imagine they can go. We're going to get one game that's probably going to be a 42-7 game with a team that wins that game we picked against.
As far as the if go about Tua, by the way, if I had more talent, I'd be an elite quarterback, and I got as much chance of getting.
I just want to say,
hold on. I got as much chance of getting. I had a really good line. You stepped all over me. I got as much chance of getting more talent as Tua does of not getting hurt. So,
I just want to say about Baker Mayfield has had a few years of success in the league, and I don't want him to be put down. He was with Cleveland 4 years. 2 of those years, he had really good years, and they only moved on from Baker Mayfield because Deshaun Watson became available. And Deshaun Watson was considered a top 5 quarterback at that point, so you had to go for Deshaun Watson.
You did?
He as a backup to Matthew Stafford, he was really good with the Rams, but he couldn't start over Stafford at LA. He goes to Tampa, and he's been really good at Tampa, and there's no reason to believe he can't even be better this year.
Yeah, it's just another strike against the Browns. That's all.
So, Jack, are you going for the Dolphins?
I'm going for the Dolphins to upset the Colts, something like 21-20.
Hey, Mike.
Is that an upset?
I think it's a mild upset.
Colts are favored in the game.
The game's in Indianapolis. So
actually, Miami's favored in the game.
Are they? On the road?
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
Miami's favorite. Miami is
No, I thought the Colts were favored 1.5. They're not?
No, it's 1.5. My Dolphins.
ESPN has 1.5 today.
Okay. Yeah. It's either way. It's a coin flip. I think it's going to be a shootout at OK Corral. I just think both these offenses are high-powered, or perceivably with the Colts. I mean, given what's on paper. So, and regarding what Richard said regarding the O-lineman, that is a big deal. But they are talented at the skill position. So I think, and they're running back. So we'll see. I think I give this maybe 60 points total. because I think both teams will be scoring a lot because I don't like the secondaries for neither team. So I think Daniel Jones might have one of his biggest games that he's had in with this team here. So, but I got the Colts winning this game at home.
And I also have the Colts winning this game as well. Of course, this is the next one is near to and dear to James's heart here. We got Carolina at Jacksonville. Keith, what do you have for this game?
Strictly, I went very scientifically in this game. Only because I don't want to incur the wrath of Sonia. I took the Panthers to beat the Saints in this game.
What's scientific about that?
I just don't want to deal with the aggravation. so flip a coin, flip a Sonia. It's the same thing. So,
well, I'm going to skip the order here, and I'll take it for you, Sonia. If you're out there, your team's losing. I got the Jags winning this one.
Quite honestly, though, I do think Carolina's better. I don't think they're, not playoff ready. I don't think Bryce Young, I think, will continue to improve. I did think overall, I think the Panthers are a smidge better than the Saints at this point.
And I think the pressure is on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's got to come out the gate. You got some help now. You got offense. You got to perform. You're getting paid an exorbitant amount of money to just, not to just walk around looking like Fabio. You have to be out there actually playing, my man. So you got to go out there and perform. And I think they're at home. So again, I agree with you regarding the Panthers. I think they improved. I just don't think some of the things I saw with defensively on during the preseason didn't look too good. And so regardless of preseason is, even though it's vanilla football, there are some elements of truth of what you see when you look at things optically. And I just didn't think that they looked that well. So I think offensively, and I like Liam Cohen. He was an excellent offensive coordinator. He's with Tampa Bay. And so I think he's going to do well. And I just think they win at home.
Yep.
Yeah, I miss Sonia a lot. I mean, I know I harassed James and Keith. Not you so much, Brian. I mean, but
you try.
We're less volatile.
But I miss harassing Sonia, especially with the Carolina Panthers. I miss you, Sonia, on both a personal and professional level, having not seen you here on the show. You mentioned James with the Carolina Panthers. You can't have it both ways. Well, I know it's just an exhibition game. It doesn't really tell you that much, but then again, it does reveal things. You're playing it both ways. The Panthers have been bad, and their defense has been really bad during the preseason. But big deal. I mean, who cares? I mean, you're just experimenting. It's like making a meal that you've never made before, and you're just experimenting these different dishes, these ingredients you're throwing in. And if you don't
they gave bad taste.
Move on. Yeah, I mean, it's. Look at the Jaguars. I mean, they're the bigger question mark with Trevor Lawrence. To me, I mean, he's under scrutiny this year for the first time. I don't want to hear about Trevor Lawrence's potential. I don't give a darn that he was a generational talent, #1 pick in the draft. He has to go the way of Jameis Winston. Let's remember, Jameis Winston was the #1 overall pick in the draft. Now he's a third-string quarterback.
Yeah.
That's what Trevor Lawrence might wind up. This is his year. He's got to do it. And they're even helping him out, making Travis Hunter primarily a receiver between the two positions. So they're giving him a big weapon. And I don't want to hear Travis Hunter's only a rookie. We all know what a great talent he is.
Coach said every down on offense today.
Every down, and they're going to use him as a situational cornerback. But to show you how disorganized, Jaguars are, they're not committed to him being a full-time receiver. They say, well, they might flip-flop him to full-time corner and a situational wide receiver. Commit yourself one way or the other. I think the Panthers' defense is going to show that they're better than they looked in the preseason. They came on at the end of last year. That's what I'm basing it on. And I think there's going to be a carryover. They'll be better this year. Nothing great, but I could see them going like 8-9 this year. And I see the Panthers going into Jacksonville today and Bryce Young actually picking up from the end of last year and improving and them upsetting the Jaguars.
Jack, you don't think what you just said? I just want to say this one thing, being I'll let you go. You don't think that not committing to him playing one position is more of a chess move? That they don't want their opponents to know what they got in the weapon on either way. I think more so it would be that. I think they're just playing possum. He eventually he'll play his position. I mean, it's a weapon. This is what I do if I was a coach. I wouldn't let you know what I'm going to do with him fully. I mean, he's saying he's going to commit him fully 100% to wide receiver. Who knows? He may be out there playing 70, 90%.
I don't think they do that. The
cornerback.
NFL doesn't do it. No. If they say a guy's going to play X amount, he plays X amount. They're not going to all
That's not true.
play him mostly at the corner. They just don't do. They just don't do that.
Where are you getting this information from?
And he's not a shutdown corner yet in the NFL, Travis Hunter. They're not going to avoid throwing at him. If anything, if they put him at cornerback, they're going to test him. He's a rookie. They're going to test him in the beginning.
I never knew NFL coaches so were upfront and honest.
Right.
I mean, just in the course of a month, that Jacksonville has changed from, we're going to try to implement him every down possible in both sides to, he's primarily going to be a receiver and into a corner. Whatever. Anyway, I also have the Jaguars winning this game, so we're split on that. The next game is the Giants at the Washington Commanders. Keith, what do you have for that game there?
The Giants will switch to Jackson Dart sooner than later. I think the team formerly known as the Redskins is really good. I know Terry McLaurin getting into camp late doesn't help them, but I don't think it hurts them a lot. They worked together the entire year last year and the OTAs and whatnot. I like the Commanders here. I think the offense, Austin Eckler you're going to see a lot more of. I think they underutilized Austin Eckler in that backfield for the Redskins last year. And I think you may see I'm sorry. You may see a lot more of him this year, and especially in the passing game. I like the Redskins here. Listen, the Giants have a really good defense, but until they figure out the quarterback situation and the weapons around them, they're still going to struggle. They can be better this year, but I don't see it really translating into a lot more wins.
What you got, Jack? New.
Deebo Samuel, where's he primarily going to play? At receiver? They're going to use him at running back. We were talking about Travis Hunter being used maybe as a little bit of a decoy. They might play him a little more at corner than they're letting on. But I kind of wonder with Deebo Samuel. I think they're better served if he's running the ball.
Yeah, but you can only give him so many touches a game too. Him and Eckler both. I mean, they're both old and past their prime. But I think between the two of them, they have him listed as the number 2 receiver on the depth chart. But he's got to play all over the field just like he always does.
So you got Jack?
Oh, let me just say this: the Giants have a better defense than the Commanders. Okay, they have a better defense, and the Commanders have a better offense than the Giants. But you kind of have to look at the Giant pass rush. If the Commanders could just contain it to a large degree, the Commanders are going to put up a lot of points on the board, enough points. How much offense are the Giants really going to generate with Russell Wilson? He has one big weapon in Malik Neighbors, and that's basically it. I mean, so unless the Washington Commander defense is absolutely dreadful, absolutely awful, they should have enough to win the game. Are the Giants going to be competitive yet? And I don't see them getting blown out. The Giants could come up with a very strong game and lose by something like a score 24-20. But if the Commanders are a serious Super Bowl threat, you got to win a game like this, even though it's the first game, and I know teams are kind of playing their way into shape more or less. The Commanders are the type of team that has to pick up from where they left off last year, meaning game 1. The Giants can afford to have a few games before they get into flow. They can improve as the season goes along. The Commanders have to show that they're an elite team right from the start, in the starts today.
I did pick them to win this division, by the way. I know I didn't get that in on this show last week, but I did pick them to win this division.
The Commanders over the Eagles there, yeah.
Yep.
I picked the Eagles to win the division, but the Commanders should make it to the playoffs.
So I am interested in seeing the connection between Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson. We'll see how that goes. I think Russell Wilson, at some point, I mean, you saw what happened with the Steelers. He did well for most of the season, and then, of course, they started to fall off at the end. I think that defensively, the Giants have drastically improved. They were number 8 in pass rush. They're probably going to be last season. They're probably going to be a little bit higher with the addition of Abdul Carter, because now you can unleash him with the reins, having both Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, and of course you up the middle you got Dexter Lawrence. So that's pretty stacked. That's going to be pretty scary for opposing offenses. And I think their run defense improves because they were 27 last season. But with that said, I still like Jaden Daniels. He may have a sophomore slump. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks do. And the loss of Brian Robinson Jr. is that going to hurt them? I don't think so. I think they have 2 additional running backs outside of Austin Eckler. That's why they were able to. He was expendable. So I think that, and given the money to Terry McLaurin, he's happy now. So is he going to be scary Terry still? I think so. I think so. And Deebo Samuels, and having somebody like Deebo Samuels, the only downside of Deebo Samuels is that the style of play that he gives you, it just makes him injury prone. So will you have him for a full season is the question. But for this game, I think they'll have him, and I think they'll win the game.
All right. Well, I'm picking the Giants. I'm going to go lone wolf on this because I like their defense a lot. I think defense comes out better than offense does in the first game of the season. So we'll see what happens with that.
I didn't think, Brian, you were that type of guy who held a petty grudge just because they beat your Lions, the Commanders, in the playoffs.
Dude, let me tell you something. I do not hold petty grudges. I am a football guy. I just see teams as what they are. I don't even go into all that. Whatever happened last year, that was the Lions' fault in the first place. So I'm not even – Washington played a good game. I'm not mad at them. Anyway. What's up about Lions Sports? Hey, in the next game, and then I think that Keith is going to have to move out here.
Yeah, and I had just an FYI before I go. I have to stop my share as I talked to Brian about for the guys that have been watching from my side. So I apologize for that, but no other way to get my show live on Facebook. So
right, gotcha.
And B, you can find the rest of my picks in the ESPN pool too if you want the rest of my picks. They're there.
Okay. No problem. Cardinals at the Saints. What you got there real quick, Keith?
I like the Cardinals. I think are much improved this year. I think they could challenge for a wild card spot. I didn't take them to get one. I think they're going to be much better. Kyler Murray's starting to play more like an NFL quarterback, more under control. I like some of the things that the new coaching staff has brought in around them. I like their defense has improved. And sorry, James, I'd like them to beat your Saints today. I don't know about handily, but I think they'll beat them. Quarterback situation needs to be straightened out, along with some other things in New Orleans.
A few Hail Marys won't hurt.
So I have the Cardinals.
I'm going to tell you, there's no logic to my pick. I have to ask James, is my perception wrong that in New Orleans, there's a celebratory mood in New Orleans? You know, the anniversary of Katrina, the way New Orleans has rebuilt. There's a certain happiness in New Orleans. And my pick's not logical because I think the Saints are going to be terrible this year. But for one game, the Cardinals, something about Kyler Murray, he's dysfunctional at times. I don't know what it is about him and the Cardinals. They've never fulfilled their potential. You give them a great receiver, and Marvin Harrison. Hey, Keith, take care.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Have a good show.
Have a good one, Keith. Good show.
And he didn't even utilize, Marvin Harrison quite the right way, even though Harrison's stats weren't too bad. I just get the feeling the Saints win at home today. You know, the crowd, everything. There's no logic behind this pick. So don't ask me to analyze it. But for one game, I get the feeling the Saints take this game at home. Spencer Rattler has a big game. I kind of wonder about Spencer Rattler going forward. I kind of like him. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I see potential there. I see upside there. But, you know,
Didn't I tell you this?
Go ahead. I don't got much to say that's logical on this game. So you better take it.
And you telling me I can't have it both ways. I can't about the Carolina defense. And what I mean, I just think that I like what you're saying about the whole Katrina thing. Thank you very much for being sympathetic to the city and the city. I think they're really good. There's a good feeling about Kellen Moore. Everybody likes he's the youngest head coach in the NFL, and just coming off a win as an offensive coordinator with the Eagles, with the Super Bowl win. I think that's where the excitement is. I don't and look, the last bit of Sean Payton has left the building. We don't have no coaches there. We have a couple players there. For the most part, this team is young, and this team is Kellen Moore's, and it's his to take the reins. They told him at the beginning, look, we're going to give him time to build this thing up. And so I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. And I think some things might surprise you this season, a few games. I have them going, just to put it out there, maybe 9 wins.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
I can't get out of here unless I press the off button. I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to tell you that I believe they have 9 to 10 wins at tops, 9 to 10. And so, and then the low would be 7. I think they'll have between 7 and 10 wins. That's where I'm at. And with that said, I think it's because of what Spencer Rattler does. I thought he was a good quarterback. I thought he was underdrafted last year. And I think there was a lot of it flack regarding his whole personality issues, supposedly, and what they saw on the whole Oklahoma Netflix thing that came out. Spencer Rattler, now, mind you, he got some things to work on, but I don't think he was a 5th round quarterback. I think he should have been taken maybe 3rd, somewhere around there, maybe a low 2nd. With that said, he can play. He can play, and he beat out the 40th overall player that they wanted as their quarterback. They were giving him every opportunity to make the starting position, and Spencer Rattler just beat him out. And I think with the weapons that they have, we have a revamped offensive line. I think there's potential to win this game. I'm going to pick him, and I'm going to say I'm picking him because I'm a homer. I'm not going to even lie about it, Brian. I'm just going to pick him because I'm a homer on this one. I think that they'll beat him very close, and they're at home. And I think the excitement about it is just going to make everything a little bit better for them, their opportunity to win that game. But other than that, yeah, that's about it.
Brian, you have to be the one to restore sanity here, because between James and myself, there's no logic. I'm picking based on a feeling, nothing logical from my end. And James is picking because he's a homer. So let's hear a little logic one way or the other. Who's going to win?
Well, I mean, Jack, you picked the Jets to beat the Steelers. So, I mean, that's homerism pick if you ask me. But it is what it is. So
James
I was the only one that picked the Steelers, so I can't really say it was that much of a homer pick. But yeah, well, I'm gonna I like what New Orleans has done. I think they did get better. I do like I've always liked Spencer Rattler. I liked him last year too. However, I think the Cardinals made a big step up this year on their team. They increased defensively, and they've done a good job offensively in stepping up their team. I think the Cardinals are like the second best in that division. I say they could be the first too. If Stafford's back holds up against the Rams, then they'll be second. But if it doesn't, then I got the Cardinals winning that division. But I had to go with Cardinals in this one. And like I said, it's nothing against the Saints, James. I just think the Cardinals are just a better team at this point. I mean, I'm with you on that. I think they're going to improve. I think the Saints are going to improve much this season. Just like I think that whole division is going to improve a bunch this season. We have to see. You know, I know everybody's getting down on Atlanta, but you just got to remember they got 2 first-round picks that are defensive ends. So you got to see how that works out. And they didn't do very well during the preseason, but I didn't expect that much anyway.
Well, I just want to say, Brian, James, this is a one-and-done game because I think the Cardinals are going to win their division. It's just one game. And this is the out of whack game that makes no sense on the surface to me. And we're going to have a couple of these games today that make absolutely no sense in the long run, how we look at things. Because I think the Saints are really going to have the number 1 pick in the draft next year. I mean, that's just my feeling. No dig on you, James. I'm entitled to my opinion. Look, I haven't put down my Jets. I'm saying they're going to be like 7-10. But for one game, things are really, you can't figure out the logic of opening day sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yes, it depends what team is awake and what team is sleeping still. So, anything can happen in the first week of the season. I mean, anything can happen on any given Sunday. But with especially in the beginning of the year, some teams just come out great. James knows that from last year when the Saints came out roaring, and then it just went downhill because of their injuries, a lot of the injuries. So it's just, those things happen, and it takes away from the morale of the team. So
and they're counting heavily on Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara, chances are he's a bit long in the tooth. Keep that in mind.
I think he still got some in the tank.
No, man, he had an excellent season quietly with a bad year as the Saints had. Alvin Kamara, first of all, let's just say this.
This guy Damian Hernandez might know his stuff. Take a look.
I'd be interested to hear who's Damian Hernandez's team is. He's very funny.
Knows his stuff. I mean,
yes, exactly. He's got plenty of logic that would suggest. He's got plenty of logic and data that would support that opinion. Yes. With that said, I would say that Alvin Kamara is at active running backs. He's in second as an all-time from scrimmage runner with 11,000 total scrimmage yards. He's got 85 total touchdowns. So last season was his most rushing ever, and I think he with a better offensive line, he's still 30. I mean, he's 30 this year, so that's still prime to me. You can still get some things done. I think he's not that long in the tooth. I think he's got some, and he's never had a season where he was some 1,900-yard back, to where he's worn out. So that's what keeps him fresh is that he doesn't play. He shares the backfield. So, but he's great at what he does with his portion of the game. So I think he's still got some things left, and I think Coach Moore is going to put him in position. He knows about stuff with the. Well, your team's going to be better though.
Yeah, their team's going to be much better. I think the Bears are going to be. I hate the Bears, but anyway, I'm picking. Yeah, so I'm picking the Cardinals. The next game is the Bengals at the Browns. What do you got, Jack?
I want to tell you this is another out of whack game in the sense because the Bengals are considered a Super Bowl contender, and a lot of people are talking about the Browns, having the top pick in the draft, again, that type of talk. But Browns have a decent defense. People are overlooking that. They have a decent defense. They're 1 year removed from being a playoff team. They actually have a pretty good coach in Kevin Stefanski. Why am I hearing that he might be on the hot seat? That doesn't make sense. They might have an impulsive owner. And the Bengals, we have these high hopes for them year after year. And I know they did go to the Super Bowl, a couple of years, a few years back, and they've been either perennial playoff team or knocking on the door. But they've been awful during the month of September. If we want to talk about data, they've been awful year after year in the month of September, and they have the same players who haven't performed in the month of September, they're same impact players that they have now, they've had the last few years. I look Cleveland at home to come up with a big effort, big defensive effort, and beat them. I don't think too highly of Joe Flacco, but he could get it done over a period of a few games. He's still a serviceable quarterback. And I'm going to go with the Browns, to beat the Bengals like something like 2019.
That's interesting. That's a I would say it's wild because I agree with you about the defense. I think that the defense is phenomenal considering the pieces that they have on it. But offensively, what do they have? Got a running back that wasn't in training camp because he had some off the field issues, and now he's there. A rookie running back and wide receivers. I'm not sure who's the marquee wide receiver there. I don't think it's anybody. There's no name I can actually pull out off the top of my head that would suggest that
Elijah Moore, I guess.
Not Elijah Moore. No, he's the number 2. The one that nobody ever. You're right, because nobody ever remembers his name, but he always quietly puts on a pretty good season. Damn, what the hell is his name? He was like the 7th.
Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, Jerry
Oh,
Jeudy. That's
Jerry
exactly
Jeudy.
who it is.
Yeah.
He had a quietly good year.
Yeah,
you're right.
Like Sean Payton couldn't get rid of him quick enough at Denver. So what's the deal there?
But he's doing well there. I would say, but they really need to offensively. They got to prove some things there, and it's particularly at the quarterback position. We know what Joe Flacco is, but I mean, at the same time, Joe Flacco is 40-something years old, and when is the tooth going to fall out of their mouth? It's already long. It's probably at some point it's going to fall out this season, and then of course, then you have to put in Dylan Gabriel. You don't know really what you have against real starting defenses. And so with that said, offensively for the Bengals, they lost the opening game barely. Did they? Yeah, they lost the opening game to the Raiders, right? Last year. They did.
Yeah.
And I don't see that happening.
Bengals lost to New England. To New England.
To the Patriots. Yeah. I don't see that happening. I just think that they're going to come out with their hair on fire, and I think they're going to beat them, and I think they're going to beat them with a high-scoring game for on one-sided. I think it's going to be a blowout to me, and I pick the Bengals.
Well, I also picked the Bengals, but I'm like Brent in this one. I think it's going to be the Bengals in a close one because they have defense. Browns have defense. They have pretty good coverage guys as well. And that's what I look at when they're playing the Bengals, because the Bengals are basically receiver heavy, and they got really good receivers at those positions, and they have a very phenomenal quarterback. So the thing the Browns offense will be fine because the Bengals defense is non-existent. It's going to be bad. Hendrickson might even get a couple of sacks in this game.
I got a question I want to ask you guys. Next year at this time, if we're reviewing opening day, who do you predict is going to be the Brown quarterback? Will it be someone on their current roster? And I know we think Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. If Joe Flacco has a big year, or they draft someone, who do you predict is going to be their starter next year? Or Deshaun Watson, a free agent or whatever. How do you foresee that looking into a crystal ball for the Browns 1 year from now? This is a hard one.
Not for me.
Gabriel.
No?
I was going to say Gabriel because I just think that Stefanski, if they're winning, first of all, how much juice does I just said the guy's name, the starter, the old guy. Joe Flacco. How much does Flacco have left? I think Dylan comes in this season. I think he's going to come in this season, and I just think that's Stefanski's guy. So you're going to lose. They're going to lose money on Deshaun Watson. I know that's a big debate topic we're going to have at some point. But I don't think he's going to be there, and I don't think that Sanders is going to be there at some point.
You don't think Sanders will be the primary backup to Gabriel? I don't want to. So you know what that tells us? That Shedeur Sanders was forced on Kevin Stefanski. He was
Of course.
forced on him by the owner, the GM. They kind of had to draft him and kind of accommodate him. But if Sanders means a lot in revenues to the Browns, they're not going to move on from him so easy. He's going to be the backup just for what he means, financially to the team.
Unless he requests for a release, which could happen. And I wouldn't doubt it, especially if his father intervenes. So we'll see.
At this point, he'll wind up in the Canadian League if he talks up and demands.
I don't know about all that. I don't think he's made for the Canadian League or the UFL right now. I think they got to give him. He has shown flashes. I know it's only preseason, but he did go against the number 1 defense in Carolina. This is why I'm not really high on Carolina being the best team in that division. But I think that Shador will find a place in the NFL. I could tell you right now, I've already heard out of camp from Cleveland that Shador won't get a chance to play this season, of course, unless everybody gets hurt in front of him. But they're putting him on a shelf basically, and I don't think he's going to like that too much. And he's going to probably request, to trade him out of there and put him on a team that's going to actually utilize him. So I don't see Shador starting next year. But I do see Gabriel starting next year, and I do see they just signed another backup quarterback, as a matter of fact, to put on the practice squad.
Zappy.
Yeah,
they put him on the practice squad. Well, because he was with Cleveland before, so they obviously like him as to have a possible roster spot at some point. Maybe
the signs are there. You see it. That he's not. He has no future there. It's just that.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. All right, so now we're going to the Raiders versus the Patriots. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah, I wish Keith Engel were here. I mean, it's not going to be a good year for the Patriots. I mean, it's a mess there. Now they're not a complete mess. Grable will be okay in the long run. I honestly believe that. And next year they should have a decent team, but not this year. I mean, it's like he's redoing.
I just want you to pump
house.
the brakes for a second, Jack. What do you think is so bad that's going on in New England?
I mean, there's stuff going on. Stephon Diggs is now holding a press conference apologizing. Oh, I've got to be better, this and that. You knew what you were getting in Stephon Diggs in the first place. Control the situation. Grable didn't control him in the beginning. You laid the law down. We were talking about Bill Belichick before. You didn't have behavior issues with Bill Belichick there. He squashed them immediately. He squashed them before it could take off. Grable's not doing that at New England. Drama's, happening. Grable lacks patience to a large point. And and he's not inheriting exactly that good of a team at New England. Let's be honest about it. I mean, it's a rebuilding year anyway. So, and you look at the Raiders with Pete Carroll, they're more ready to win. They have impact players. That's the thing about it. It's something the Patriots don't have. The Patriots don't have one truly impact player on that team, not one. But
that's not true.
Who?
Tre'Davious Henderson is one. He came out flashing, showing you exactly who he is as a rookie.
Max Crosby is an impact player. Brock Bowers is an impact player. Ashton Genty is going to prove himself as a rookie to be an impact player. Okay?
You don't think Tre'Davious Henderson is going to be an impact player?
Not as much as the guys I mentioned on the Raiders. I'm talking about an impact player who, who you could say is one of the best in the league at his position. I mean, Max Crosby is a future Hall of Famer. Brock Bowers, I project him as a future Hall of Fame if he stays healthy. Ashton Genty is a rookie, but I think he's going to have a big year, And they got Geno Smith that's going to stabilize the quarterback position. Look, he's Pete Carroll's guy. Carroll knows what he's getting with Geno. He went after Geno. He's the guy who moved on from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith, and it turned out to be a good move. So I just think the Raiders, if they for them to lose to New England game one, what does it say about the Raiders going forward for this year? I mean, but the Raiders' problem is they're in a tremendously hard division. You know, you got the Broncos, the Chargers, the Chiefs. I mean, who are you going to beat out? That's their problem, the division that they're in. Not the Patriots aren't going to be their problem. They're going to beat New England today.
I think the Raiders are the worst of the best division in the AFC. I just think, the North is not too shabby either, but I would say that the West is, with all the coaches, with their improvements, it's just a really tough division. And so, but I think they're the worst of the best, which means they're going to be good. They're going to be good. They're going to they're going to win some games they probably shouldn't win right away because of just, like you said, talent that they have, some impact players. I agree. But with that said, I think, to me, the impact player that they have on their team is their quarterback. I like Drake May. I think Drake May is going to have a really good year. And Stephon Diggs, him apologizing, whatever, that does help a little bit. I like him, regardless of whatever his off the field stuff is going on. I think he can be impactful. This is the guy that you need for like those third and short or third moderate. He'll get you a first down. He still has enough left in the tank to do that type of thing. And I like their running back. I think you're underrating him. I think the rookie is going to show some things here and be highly impactful and being utilized. Not just to me, he's like an Alvin Kamara, but it's a faster version of it. So he can do some things out of the gate in the passing game as well. He's going to help his quarterback out. He can do some things in the running, and he can return, as you saw that when he opened up the preseason with a 100-yard return for a touchdown. So I like the Patriots at home for this game. They may not win 12, 13 games, but I think they'll win enough to make themselves competitive in their division and potentially get a playoff game, a wild card.
Just a note on this game too, Christian Gonzalez, their number one corner, is going to be out this game. Just to let you know.
He's a real good player. He was a good draft choice, but he was injured last year too.
Yeah, he's starting to file that course where he is a very good corner and he just can't stay on the field. And I'm kind of worried about that for the Patriots, because that's not a good thing. It's not a good sign. Look at Jair Alexander. You know, I'm not a big fan of Jair Alexander. I don't think he's the greatest corner either. But when he's on the field, he does make a difference. That's something you can't overlook. But that's why Green Bay let him go, because he can't stay on the field. You could be on the field for 6 games and play well, but what about the other 11 games you're not on the field? You know, you're not making an impact. Right. So, yeah, that worries me a little bit. But I am also taking the Patriots because I do think that they can get it done with Vrabel. I think Vrabel is the answer to their problems. Plus, they got their coordinator back. So, I'm really being positive about.
Well, consider the coach. Pete Carroll is a pretty good coach. Say what you want about him.
I'm not poo-pooing Pete
all
Carroll
his
either.
energy going into this job. I gotta believe this game, they're going to be one of the teams, the Raiders, who's truly going to be ready to play from the get-go. They're going to be in peak form, I think, from the get-go.
You think the Jets are taking a division? Do you know Buffalo is in that division too, don't you, Daniel?
You mean beat out Buffalo?
Just the same guy said the Saints will go 0-17, though, yes.
That's kind of bold. I think the Jets are going to finish second place in the division. I mean, I think, with weak record, but second place. But to beat out Buffalo, wow. That would, of all the division winners, that's a good question, Damien. That's thought-provoking. Which team is most likely to win their division of all the divisions? I'd say the Buffalo Bills. That would be my pick of all the divisions.
Let's see. We have the 49ers at the Seahawks in a good old NFC West showdown. What do you got, Jack?
I don't like either team. I don't like either team. Like Apollo Creed said in one of the Rocky movies. What Clubber Lang said about Apollo Creed training Rocky. Is he concerned one has been training the other, or one has been working with the other, whatever. I don't like either of them. I mean, the 49ers, I think, are the classic case of a window finally closing on a team. And I know Brock Purdy's been saying, don't sell him short, this and that. I don't think last year was an aberration with the Niners. I don't want to hear about the injuries, off year that they're going to bounce back. I just think the window is closed on that team. And with Seattle, I just don't think they're that good to begin with. They have a few good players, granted, but Sam Darnold went into an ideal situation with the Minnesota Vikings. I thought he was going to have a big year last year, and I said it, and he did. But now he shows up at Seattle. He's going to be so-so there. And Seattle didn't invest in him that heavily. They gave him the type of contract, basically, that means they only have to keep him around a couple of years, or even by next season they could move on from him if they really wanted to. I like Seattle to win that game because it's in Seattle. And I just don't think, Brock Purdy, with injuries and all, really has the weapons there. I could see Seattle winning a game, something like a 21-14 type game.
I agree with you. I think injuries have just derailed the 49ers, and their window is closed on their Super Bowl championship aspirations. So, long in the tooth is Trent Williams, and I think not having Brandon Ayuk, he's still on the pup list. Ricky Pearsall is probably their only main option to be something there. And Jawan Jennings, is he playing?
And McCaffrey,
Yes.
He's out, right?
Well, yeah,
McCaffrey he's questionable.
Oh, he's questionable.
Oh, okay.
But I think he's going to be out too. I think at the last minute, because that cap, injury. We just know what his injury history is, and unfortunately, and that's why they brought in Brian Robinson Jr. So I just think Seattle's right now in this game is going to be a little bit better than the 49ers only by default because of injury. And I'm not going to entertain what that young man said, Hernandez, regarding that he's trolling. He's trolling. So I got to learn to ignore the trolls.
I hate it, Damien, to say no. Josh Allen's not overrated. I mean,
he's trolling for sure.
I'm also picking Seattle, although again I think this will be a pretty close game. Both these teams are going to be battling for the bottom of the division, I feel, San Francisco and Seattle. So, I picked them both either 3 or 4. It doesn't make a difference. They can switch, flop, whatever. I just don't see them being playoff teams this year. I think Seattle's going to be closer than San Francisco is getting back to the playoffs because they have they have some kind of a core. But other than that, yeah, I picked the Seahawks over the 49ers. I don't trust the 49ers right now. Next game is the Titans at the Broncos. Who you got, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go with the Denver Broncos to win this game, and I think that they win this game big. I mean, they're playing at home against Tennessee, right? It's at Denver. And yeah, Cam Ward, I can't imagine him going into Denver to play a Sean Payton team who considers themselves a serious Super Bowl contender, and the lowly Titans go in there and they upset, the Denver Broncos. It's not going to happen. I think this is going to be a rude awakening to Cam Ward against a very good, Denver Bronco defense. And I think the Broncos basically roll over them. I don't think this game is going to be close. If you talk about shocking upsets, if we had to paint a scenario, or what would be the most shocking upset of all the games today, to me, it would be the Titans going into Denver and winning. I mean, I can't see it happening, but look, 1 year ago, guys, if I had to make that same statement, and maybe I made it, I would have said, no way can New England go into Cincinnati, the lowly New England Patriots, and upset the Bengals, who are Super Bowl contenders, and it happened. So you never know. But Denver's a good all-around team, and I think Bo Nix is going to continue his improvement. And James knows more than anyone that Sean Payton is a heck of a good coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NFL. So Denver's not going to have a relapse this year. If anything, they're a playoff team. They're just going to get better this year. Maybe not get to the Super Bowl, but they'll be even better. They win something like by 27 points or so today, I would say.
Yeah, the Titans have done nothing to suggest that they are world beaters or that they're going to be contenders. And the Broncos, to me, are contenders. And so they've done everything to suggest that they're in a rebuild mode. They were drafted number 1 overall. They got their quarterback. And there's nobody on the edge outside of Calvin Ridley to throw to. And I don't see them going in there. And the Broncos have the reincarnation of the Orange Crush 2.0. Yeah, I think it is a laugher too, Brent. I don't. Oh, it's sad. I mean, you don't want to see a team get blown. I don't know if it's a laugher. It's a laughing. You like to hide tears, right? Because it just looks pretty bad. You don't have a coach. Vrabel was a stable. Vrabel's stable. That's interesting. Yes, he was a rock solid head. Pause. He was a head coach that was awesome there, and I just think that they're going to miss that. I think they're going to miss that. And the Broncos, like you said, Jack, has Sean Payton at home. Man, this would be the upset game of the century if they come in and surprise the Broncos with a win. But I don't see it happening. I think the Broncos, they just paid all their defensive players money. These guys were legit for a reason. They're going to win easily. And I think it, like you said, 20 plus points or so.
It's all about, I know it's all about winning and losing, but if Denver loses decisively, but if Cam Ward plays a good game, shows poise and shows you a lot, in a way it's a win for Denver. For Tennessee, if Tennessee loses 27-16, but Cam Ward, is very efficient, I'm going to walk away from the game happy if I'm a Tennessee fan. So that's the key to me. Not so much winning, even though that's what, you have to have ultimately, but it's how Cam Ward performs. His offensive line has to hold up. If they get overpowered, it'll be ugly. And because this is supposed to be a new beginning for Tennessee, and you're really throwing them in over. You might be throwing Cam Ward in over his head for game 1.
Yeah, I'm also picking the Broncos in this game. They just got the better defense, the better offense. And I think Cam Ward is just going to be a victim of his own team. I think he's going to play pretty well this year, but he's not going to be able to get it done like people want him to get it done because he doesn't have the players around him to get it done. So, I think he's going to have a pretty good season. He's just not going to have a winning season. And it's going to start with this game. The Broncos defense is, like James said, they paid everybody on their defense right now, and they got half of 49ers defense anyway. So right there, and that's the reason why San Francisco's not good, not going to win anything this year because they took all their main players that San Francisco had on there that make impacts. So yeah, I don't see Tennessee coming close in there. Broncos are favored by 8.5, but I'd probably give them a couple touchdown win on this one. Not really laugh for NFL games, really. It can be, but for the wrong reasons. But anyway, next game we have, this is a pretty good game too. The Houston Texans versus the LA Rams. Who do you got, Jack?
I have a hard time, figuring out what to make out of this game. Like watching the Rams lose to the Eagles in the playoffs last year, game they could have won when they had the ball on the last drive. Imagine how that would have changed the NFL season. Who knows who would have been the Super Bowl winner with the Eagles out, with the Chiefs is repeated. Would the Rams have gone on to win the Super Bowl? I mean, we're never going to know. This Ram team, I can't get high on the team where their starting quarterback seems to have one foot out the door, like Matthew Stafford. You obviously know him, Brian, very well from his years in Detroit. But we keep hearing about his back issues. Is he going to play? They have to draft a quarterback. I just don't like the signals. And I know how talented, the Rams could be at times. Jared Verse, their draft pick last year, was phenomenal. I just don't know it, but something about the Houston team. They've got to be good to me, the way I look at it. They got D'Amico Ryan. I have faith in him. He's a darn good young coach. They're not going to relapse. They're not going to become mediocre with all their talent that he assembled. And last year was an off year for Houston in a way, and they still made the playoffs. I mean, I see Houston, winning that game. LA Rams, that's not a home field advantage for the Rams in LA. It's so indifferent over there. So it's not like you're playing against the Packers in Green Bay, the Steelers in their home field, the Saints at their home field. So I see the Houston Texans, going there, winning that game, and maybe even by 10 points or so, something like 26-16 Houston. I like the Houston defense. I think they could really be elite this year.
James.
Yeah, that defense could be elite. I think they already are elite. I think it's just pretty scary. The bookends starting with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson coming to his own, man. Will Anderson,
I love.
He was picked third overall. He's really showing that he is a monster on that end.
Yeah.
And how do you block? You got to really have some talented offensive linemen to go up against those guys like that. And with that said, they got great talent in the cornerback in the secondary. I mean, it's just a scary defense all over. So even if that team can only give you 10 points, I think they can still win games with just 10 points. That's just how good that defense is to me. I just think that, but they made it so that CJ Stroud is going to have a better season because they got him some more offensive talent at the wide receiver position. They drafted a couple of guys out of Iowa State, which I think are pretty good, big body guys. Nico Collins is who he is. He's going to give you 1,200 yard season. And the running back. The only question is the running back room. The Mixon is on. I don't know if he's on IR. I think he is because of the ankle.
On a pup list for four.
He's on a pup list, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And you got Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb is going to be a good, as long as he can stay healthy. If he stays healthy, I think but I saw some of the things he's done with him already in the preseason, so it looks like he's okay. I mean, because I know he's had a few injuries.
Player for them, Nick Chubb.
Yeah. But if that had to be a question mark for them, it would be the running back room for me. Damian Pierce, I think, is still hurt too. But I like the Texans to win this game because even if Matthew Stafford's playing, there's nobody. I just think him in the back issues, he's going to get pressure. He's going to be very uncomfortable with that defense. And I don't like it if he's not playing. I don't like anybody behind him. Stetson Bennett is not either. I remember the old commercial. Stetson makes it easy for you. He's going to make it easy for that defense for sure. You remember Stetson Cologne? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Back in the day. Anyway, and Garoppolo. I'm just not sold on him either. So
the backups don't do it for me.
Yeah. And so Matthew's got to be the guy. He's got to be healthy and getting shots in the back and having back problems is not a good sign for them. And so I'm for this first game at least, I think that the Texans go into LA and they beat them by maybe 10 points.
I just have one concern about the Texans with D'Amico Ryan for this season because they have such a good defense. Don't hold CJ Stroud back. Don't make him a game manager because CJ Stroud, there's no reason he can't be an elite quarterback. He kind of was in his rookie year. And there's no reason why CJ Stroud can't ultimately be one of maybe the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. But if you turn him into a game manager because you have such a good defense and have him be the type of quarterback who just plays not to lose, not to make mistakes, it doesn't do it for him in the long run. Allow him to open things up, a little this year. And I'm not sure D'Amico Ryan is going to allow it because of their defense.
So, Jack, did you pick the Texans
Oh yeah, the
as well?
Texans. I like the Texans by 10 points. Yeah.
All right, I'm going with the Rams. As long as Stafford is playing, I'm going to go with the Rams.
You accuse James of being a homer. You still have that Detroit Stafford link to you.
It ain't got nothing to do with that, Stafford.
I mean, at least James goes against.
You
his
just
old
said it.
players
They almost
sometimes.
beat
You never go
Philadelphia
against your
last
old
year.
players.
The Rams
You're
are a
there.
good team.
When the Rams won the Super Bowl, you're probably celebrating with those Detroit fans. You felt it was.
I was happy
your
for Stafford. Stop, Jack. Anyway, the point of the matter is I like the Rams as long as Stafford is there. I got them finishing and winning the division because they have a very good team. They have a great team.
And a great coach.
I do agree. Yeah, and they have a great coach too. But I do agree with the Texans as their defense. The thing about the Texans I don't like is the fact they lost some offensive linemen that were pretty prudent to their team this season. So, and I don't understand why they got rid of them because they need to protect CJ out there, and that's
particularly Laramie Tunsil. You're right.
Yeah. They can't. I don't know why they got rid of him. That was really ridiculous. I don't understand that whole. It's like Indianapolis. Why'd you give away your offensive line?
Anyway. Very mobile. That at least helps.
Well, I mean, he's mobile when he has to be. I think he's a pretty good passer from the pocket. I think he's a real good passer from the pocket. But he's got to have a pocket to pass from. That's the point. He can't always be running for his life. And I think that's what's going to happen to one side of that offensive line that they're missing who they gave away from. So and in a running back situation, as James said, I'm not happy with Chubb in there. If I'm on the Texans, they do have Dameon Pierce. People forget about Dameon Pierce. He's a very good, affable running back too. But is he on the level of Joe Mixon? No, I don't even think that. Secondary running back is better than Joe Mixon.
So that's
Chubb's not even better than Joe Mixon right now. But again, you got to play who you got to play. So with the offensive line issues and the running back stability, I just can't see them winning this game against the Rams, regardless. But like I said, if Stafford goes down in this game, you guys are right. They got no backups.
You guys got me thinking with some of these games. Some teams in some divisions can afford to lose more than others. Okay, like let's say Kansas City lost last Friday, a couple of days ago. I'm not saying it's a damaging loss, but it hurts in that division. The Texans in such a weak division, they can kind of afford to lose a game, and ultimately, chances are it's not going to mean much. They can make it up. But you take a team like Kansas City who loses a game, and at the end of this week one, they're probably going to be behind. They're probably going to be no better than third. If the Raiders beat the Patriots, the Chiefs are going to be 0-1, and the other three teams, would be 3-0. 1-0. So all of a sudden the Chiefs would be in a mini hole right off the bat. But for a team like the Texans, even if they fall behind the other teams in that division, like Indianapolis and Jacksonville, they'll make it up.
And
without a doubt.
Like I said, okay, Damien. I didn't say nothing about that. Goff wasn't the guy.
He's trolling
every quarterback in the NFC North.
Well, listen, no.
Ignore him. He's trolling.
He makes some sense. Wait. He makes some sense. He's trolling, but he makes some sense in this sense. Goff he's a franchise quarterback for the Lions. They're not going to go out and be able to get anyone better. If you look at the alternatives, he's a good quarterback, Goff. He's just not an elite quarterback. He's not one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Probably maybe
you don't have to be an elite quarterback with the offense that we got.
You don't have to be.
And I know there's nobody better than him besides Josh Allen and Burrow and
Lamar Jackson
anyway.
No, that no.
Over
but
the
it's
last
not-
5 years, he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks, dude.
No,
I ain't
we
even
were
going
just-
on where
well,
with this.
well,
Let's just
we-
get to our Packers and
We're
Lions.
talking about going. We're talking
We
about
got 3 more games to talk about here.
Let's get the other
Right.
games, and then if we have time to get to golf, we'll get to them.
Speaking of the Lions, they are going to Green Bay to face the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau. Who do you got, Jack?
I like the Lions for one simple reason. A close game, very close game. They're a better team. That's all. Sometimes we don't want to, complicate things. They're a better team. The Micah Parsons effect is going to be minimal because he's not going to play that much. He's not that ready to play. So for all the people out there who say, oh, the Cowboys may have beaten the Eagles if Micah Parsons was there. No, they wouldn't have. Micah Parsons wouldn't have been no more ready to play for the Cowboys in the opener as he is for the Packers. They're going to limit his play. And Jordan Love has to show me something. I mean, there's a lot of potential. They paid him big. And the Lions window hasn't closed. But if they don't get to the Super Bowl this year, I think it's definitely starting to close. The window is still open, but this is it. It's open for one more year. They're like the fighter that sits down in their corner, a boxer that's cut badly, and the ringside physician says, I'm going to give you one more round because this cut is bad before I stop it, and they better go out and get it done. That's the Lions situation. The Lions have a real good team, excellent team, brutal schedule, but a good enough team, that they're going to win this game.
What you got there, James?
I like both offenses here. I think Jordan Love still can play at home. I like the talent on the Lions, but there are some question marks there. We got to see what they can do without their defensive and offensive coordinator. Again, it is what it is. You have new talent there. You got to see, and you're going up against a marquee team in the Packers in Lambeau. So I'm going to pick the Packers just by maybe 2 points here, because I just think the Lions are still talented, and probably until you beat the man, you can't beat a man until you beat the man. So I'm going to give the Lions the benefit of the doubt of being the division champs there. I just think that going to Lambeau might be a little bit too much there with the question marks to me at the coordinator position. So I like the Packers here.
That's fair. Of course, I got the Lions. I think where goes in with Jack though is they just a better team, even if they got Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons is he's going to be playing limited snaps. Green Bay's even said that. So, and you got to remember, Aiden Hutchinson is back. Their defensive people that were hurt last year are back. They got a better secondary than they had ever had in the last 4 years. As far as their Super Bowl window going and closing, I don't see that. I just think that this is the year they need to be in the Super Bowl. This is the fifth year under Dan Campbell and this regime. No matter what the offensive and coordinator and a defensive coordinator have changed, this is their 5th year under Dan Campbell. They got to make an impact, get in the playoffs, and get to a Super Bowl, win or lose. So I got them beating the Packers at home because they basically haven't lost in Green Bay in the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm giving that to the Lions. They just got a better team right now. I'm not saying that they won't lose. I don't think they're gonna sweep the division like they did last year. I don't see that being a possibility at all. This division is clearly way better than it was last year. And I'm to the thought process that every team in this division can get in the playoffs. Every team. That'd be the first time in NFL history that ever happened. But I think every team in this division can get in the playoffs. So, but I am going with the Lions on that one. The next one. Oh, by the way, on a news note, wide receiver Jameson Williams is signing a 3-year, $83 million extension with $67 million guaranteed. So they have Amon and JMO wrapped up for at least 3 years. So that's good. That's why I said I don't think the Super Bowl window has closed. I just think this is the year they need to prove they can get in the Super Bowl, period. You know what I'm saying? So It's 5 years. This is the fifth year. I don't care. You got to show me something. All that hooping and hollering and biting kneecaps, that's great. I love that. But at the same time, dude, we got to get to a Super Bowl. This is a starved franchise. They got to get somewhere and prove that they can do it. Next game, Ravens at the Bills. Very good game for a Sunday night game.
I mean, it's a great game, and I think this is a preview of the AFC Championship game. It's going to come down to the wire. It's going to come down to the last possession, I predict, tonight. And there's going to be a breakthrough this year where one of the elite quarterbacks in the AFC kind of replacing Patrick Mahomes. Not necessarily is a better quarterback, but taking his team to the next level. There's legacy on the line for both, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen more than any other quarterback, even more than Joe Burrow and or the others. And I like Buffalo to win tonight. And there are big implications for home field advantage. That it doesn't mean they'll get home field advantage when all is said and done. I know James and myself picked the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl. You, Brian, have picked the Bills. But I think Buffalo wins tonight 24-23. Either, missed field goal by Baltimore at the end, the Buffalo gets the score at the end. But it's going to be a last possession game. It's going to be a great, great game tonight.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a close game, but I definitely think that the Ravens will win this game because I think they have a bad taste in their mouth from the loss that they had in the playoffs from with the Bills, and both teams are great. It's just a great game. I love night games like this. I'm glad the fact they made the schedule like this. You got marquee teams that are playing each other, and these both offenses are solid, both defenses are solid. It should be a really good game. Probably maybe like a 20-17 type game or something like that. I don't think it'll be a high scoring game, but I just think that Lamar is definitely trying to win, just like Josh is trying to win. But I think Lamar's window might be a little bit closer to closing. So I think the pressure more so. I mean, even though I said the pressure was more on the Bills, but individually as players, I would say it'd be on Lamar more so. So, he, as you said, he said he was going to win a Super Bowl in 5 years. Obviously, that hadn't happened. But I think they want to win. This is their rival. This is their rival right now, and so they gotta beat. It's not the Chiefs. It's the Bills right now, and so I think they gotta beat them, and that's what's going to happen tonight for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, James. I think the Ravens, this is one of their best teams defensively they've had in a while. So I think that's going to make all the difference in this game. I like Buffalo still to make the Super Bowl. But again, these two teams are going to meet in the playoffs. And I'm thinking for the AFC Championship. So but I like because last year, if you remember, the Ravens played Buffalo and they destroyed Buffalo. And that wasn't with the team that they have right now. So I'm just looking at and their playoff hopes ended because of it's just mistakes. I don't know what's going on with Lamar Jackson mentally in these playoff games, but he has to get this together because he's you're right. He's getting close to his window closing as well. And as any good athlete, you want to go out on top, and he's had the teams around him. He's had the coaching staff. He's had the teams. I mean, I don't know, they're holding on to John Harbaugh like, he's the next best thing next to sliced bread. But dude, there's going to come a time when he's going to be in a hot seat because you're getting to these playoff games, you're not winning anything. And the same thing goes with Sean McDermott, too. I mean, you guys are great teams, but you're not getting anywhere. You keep losing I guess the thing that keeps them holding on, they're losing the eventual Super Bowl champ, which is usually Kansas City. So I guess that's what's keeping them there. But they got to do something. Both teams got to do something this year. But I do think the Lamar and the Ravens are going to come out on top in this game. Vikings and Bears on Monday Night Football. Another tale of two teams that we don't know anything too much about right now. But Jack, what you got?
Yeah, we don't have much time, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the game. I mean, the two storylines are JJ McCarthy making his debut here for the Vikings, and they've decided to make him their franchise quarterback. Carson Wentz is the backup there, very good backup to have. And the Ben Johnson era with the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson seems to be giving a lot of tough love to Caleb Williams, not babying him in any way. And the Bears lost a number of close games last year. So their 7-10 record is very deceiving. And you got to believe the law of averages is changing. They were getting a little better anyway, making additions on defense. So I got to believe the Bears get it done today against, rookie quarterback JJ McCarthy, who I'm not that high on, but let's see the way Kevin O'Connell can develop him as the year goes along. I think the Vikings are the weakest team in that division. They're going to have a come down from their 14-3 last year. I could see them finishing like 8-9 this year, and the Bears, getting to 9-8 thereabouts.
You can flip a coin. I think you picked the Bears to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. By about something like 19-10.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears too. I just think that, like you said, there was some very close games last year that they could have won, that they just crumbled and fizzled at the end. I like Ben Johnson, and I like to see what he can do as a head coach. We don't know for sure, but the talent is there. They've added to their wide receiver group. I mean, we got Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, and now Luther Burden the third. So, I mean, and with Swift, he's got some weapons to work with. He knew what he was doing when he went there, because it's kind of similar, is almost mirroring what the Lions are. And so I just think that the Bears will win. Wow. I don't know, but like a 35 to 20 win, but I got the Bears winning maybe by 2 or 3 points or so. But and I'm just not sold on JJ McCarthy yet. So he's got to prove it to me. And then not having Jordan Addison in the lineup too, I think is going to hurt them as well. And that's pretty much it. I think that they have a great defense, so the score shouldn't be too high. But it should definitely. I like Brian Flores. What he does there.
His name escapes me. Oh boy, from Carolina, who was with the Vikings. He's back with the
Vikings.
Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
Right.
Thielen.
That might help. Yeah.
Yeah, it may help. Yeah, but I got the Bears winning this game.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth over this game. The Bears have the better secondary, and Minnesota does not have a very good secondary. In fact, the safety Harrison is having some issues right now, injury-wise. So I got to, as much as it pains me to say this, I got to go with the Bears because I don't know what JJ McCarthy is yet. And like James said, you got to prove it to me first. And then their wide receiver core is kind of hobbled right now. You got a 70% Justin Jefferson. You got an old behind Thielen out there. You got Hawkinson. That's a positive. But who else have they got after that? Naylor's hurt. They lost. They lost what's his face for 4 games, 4 games. So he's not going to play. They got a good offensive line. Their offensive line is better. Their defensive line is better, but their secondary is garbage, hot garbage. And Chicago just has a better secondary than they do, and I think that's just what's going to be the difference. They usually pretty much.
Brian Flores, he's a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah, the Lions beat them twice last year, so I mean.
Well, Lions were beating everybody last year.
They weren't beating everybody because they didn't beat Washington. So it's. But yeah, I just got to go. I got to go with the Bears in this one because I've been juggling these two. It's so much off in this team and so much off in this team, but yet they got new people in the lineups. I just don't. The quarterback issue is the problem for me. I think Caleb will do a better job under Ben Johnson's offense. I think he'll be better this year. I think he'll be passing over 4,500 yards. I think he'll do really good this year. And again, every team in this division is grown stronger, and it's a toss-up. I think Chicago could make the playoffs too. Hell, They're a very good they're a very good team. I have trust in Ben Johnson to a point, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But I got the Bears. They're at home. On top of it, they're gonna be excited to see these new Bears come out there and do what they have to do. So yeah, I got the Bears in this one, and that will bring us to the end of the show there, folks. Thank you for joining in. Thank you to Jack. Thank you to James, and thank you to Keith for your picks. Everybody have an exciting football NFL Sunday. We will see you next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. Have a good day.